Hi, folks. Welcome to the show, the Avrum Rosenzweig Show. Indeed, my name is Avrum Rosenzweig. And, when situations arise within the Jewish world and outside of it, I think it behooves me to bring to you some insight into it as we dealt with this week a situation with the Toronto International Film Festival having to do with disinviting a film by Barry Avrich about October 7th, a very human film. With me today is Henry Wolfond, who is the chairperson of Confronting Anti-Semitism Committee here in Toronto. Henry is an entrepreneur, he's a philanthropist, and he's the chairman and CEO of Bayshore Capital in Toronto. He and I have talked before. We did an interview a few months ago after he flew up into the stratosphere on Blue Origins. That was in November 2024, of which he did. So he's one of the 900 or so astronauts in the world. But today we're here to talk about the film The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue, which was once again about a retired general in Israel, rescuing his family during the October 7th terrorist attack from Kibbutz Nahal Oz. Henry, thank you for doing this. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Avrum? Good
Yeah,
to
I'm
see
doing
you.
great. I'm doing great. Thank you. Before we get going, we should probably do a little pitch for your family, for your son. I noticed that you're wearing a particular baseball hat. What's that's all about?
So my son Max is a television producer at a company called New Metric, and his one of their shows called Shoresy, which is quite popular. I'm sure many of your viewers who are hockey fans are aware of it. Is up for an Indie Award, and so proud of my son Max,
Good for you.
and wearing the team colors, the
Yeah, good for
Shoresy
you. What a great dad you are.
logo today.
Henry, let's dive right in. I know we have a limited amount of time in this interview. TIFF withdrew its invitation to screen The Road Between Us, The Ultimate Rescue, which was a documentary by Canadian filmmaker Barry Avrich, from its 2025 lineup. As of yesterday, which would be Thursday, it has been reinstated. How did you get involved in this whole issue?
Well, this issue, from my perspective, and maybe I'm late coming to it, having spoken to some others, but on Monday evening, the community became aware that this decision to revoke the invitation for the film, The Road Between Us, was going to be revoked, and in fact did get revoked. And then over the last couple of days, not just me, but thousands, tens of thousands, not just in our community, but in the broader Canadian community, our allies, and people around the world, rose to call out this injustice. And it's a great example of our community and disparate organizations, UJA Federation, CJA, Friends of Simon Wiesenthal, and really Allies for a Strong Canada, coming together to call out this unjust and arguably anti-Semitic decision by TIFF.
Right. So I want to focus on that. The TIFF stated that the film was pulled due to failure to meet festival requirements, which were that Barry and his team had not gotten permission from Hamas, I presume, for the footage which they used in their documentary. Most people whom I've spoken to, both in Israel and here, filmmakers, think that's kind of absurd. What was the real reason why you think, anyways, why they pulled it?
I'm not. I think there is, and it's not just here. We see it in other art communities and things, that there's a strong movement to suppress stories emanating from Israel or a Jewish perspective. So certainly, while I don't know that that's the sole reason, there is it occurs to me, and this is just my opinion, that there's an anti-Semitic bias in discussions. There were concerns about security, that protests could turn violent because I don't think that this is a story about family. This is a story about heroism. This is a story about a father and grandfather rescuing his family. It's not politically biased, as I understand it. It's not advocating like other films on the other side. No Other Land, for example, does present a biased political perspective. So security may have played into it, but I can't help but believe that this has to do with the, coinciding with the global rise in anti-Semitism that we're seeing everywhere. And, you see it in examples. If you've seen, did you see the movie October 8th?
I did. Yes. Yes.
Hot Docs in Toronto did not accept that. It's a great documentary, and documentary film festivals around the world have rejected it. Why? But because it's telling a story that after Israel was attacked on October 7th, where innocent people were murdered, brutalized, raped, kidnapped. The day after, millions of people around the world came out not to protest the heinous acts or to call out the terrorism committed by Hamas, but to heap on Israel. It hadn't even responded yet for it, and sadly, it's just an indication of what's happening globally in arts and elsewhere, that there's a movement to exclude, censor, boycott, and delegitimize Israeli stories and Jewish stories.
From the people whom I've spoken with since all this occurred, including yourself, I was told that the Jewish community, Jewish leadership, and many of our friends, both here in Toronto and Canada and around the world, were instrumental in making sure that this was corrected, that this change was made. I've seen letters that were sent to Tiff, one from the daughter of two individuals who actually donated land to Tiff, a Jewish family.
Yeah, I saw that open letter today.
Phenomenal letter, very extremely encouraging and supportive, but very sad at the same time. So, Henry, for a moment, take us behind the curtain. You're given a call. You're asked to help out because of your leadership within the Jewish community, chairing the Confronting Anti-Semitism Committee. Be very high profile in terms of what you've accomplished within our community and outside of it. Take us behind the curtain for a moment. What kicked in?
In my role, I think, as I said, on Monday evening, this story started to emerge. I'm fortunate enough, through my business and other work in the community, to have friends and relationship with people who are benefactors of TIFF, people who are on the board of TIFF. So, when this came out, I certainly shouldn't. There were more than 60,000 emails sent by Canadians and people around the world, and we really have to thank groups like Allies for a Strong Canada and our allies for engaging and mobilizing on this. But I was in a position to reach out to friends of mine to really demand an explanation. As you said, the story was that Barry had not gotten permission from Hamas to use the footage that they themselves broadcast around the world of the atrocities that took place. This is footage that has appeared on every major news organization platform, including Al Jazeera, including Fox News, CNN, etc. Otherwise, on social media, billions of people around the world have seen this footage. So the absurdity of somehow this isn't public domain, or that you would have to go to Hamas. I read somewhere else this would be like not being able to air a documentary on the Holocaust because you didn't get permission from the Nazis to use footage of that they took of the murder and persecution of Jews. So that, I think, that's a stain on TIFF and their credibility and their reputation, which is sad in a sense. And I think that there will have to be they'll have to do some introspection and, take some steps to reestablish their credibility as a platform for artistic expression, for freedom of expression, and for showcasing movies of importance and just of great stories. And that's what this is. This is a father and a grandfather who sprung into action and put his life on the line to rescue his son and his granddaughters while these terror attacks were taking place. And it's like asks of us, what would we do in that situation? Rushing into a burning building, metaphorically, to save our loved ones. That's what this is a story of.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a magnificent story. Barry, it's a very high profile documentarian and filmmaker here in Canada and around the world. And there's no doubt that this is a magnificent film. I think it's appropriate to say that it's probably going to be a sellout wherever it shows now.
I think so, but it's still too bad that this had to happen.
Yeah.
It should be a sellout on the merits and the quality of the story and the filmmaker, not because of controversy. And I saw the film that Barry produced, Prosecuting Evil, a number of years ago. Just again, a very moving story of pure altruism. I forget the lawyer's name, but again, it shows what one person can do with a life devoted to righteousness. And
Indeed. I think there is a silver lining here. The public outcry was huge, and it included criticism from figures like Toronto Councillor Brad
yes,
and James Pasternak, Ontario Minister of Tourism Stan Cho, Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar, who called the decision vicious, the initial decision. And also there was a lot of stuff online that people posted in response to the initial decision to disinvite Barry's film. The question is, some people are saying this is anti-Semitism, some saying it was just cowardice. I've heard from a lot of people on the ground through Facebook and other social media outlets, I will never go to a TIFF movie again. There's no possible way that I'm going to, support this organization. And I think we have to sort of look at this and ask ourselves, okay, over the years, TIFF has presented many Jewish films, has presented many Israeli films. Will you go to a TIFF film?
Well, I'm going to go to this TIFF film,
Yeah.
and I think you hit the nail on the head, and when you refer to Ms. Reitman's open letter, the Jewish community have been pillars of arts and art philanthropy for artistic organizations, and certainly as filmmakers and writers and contributors to the quality of the motion picture industry. And when I was talking about, TIFF is going to have to take some steps to repair some of its reputational damage, because there are those people who are saying, I wouldn't go to TIFF, and I wouldn't see this movie at TIFF because I'll see it when it showcases anywhere else. So there is a lot of resentment and a lot of anger, and it's really a shame that one of the leading film festivals in the world, perhaps only behind Cannes and maybe on par with the Los Angeles Film Festival, has stepped into it in this way, in a capitulation to what? I mean, there's to this anti-Israel, anti-Semitic movement that is pervading society. It's rewarding terrorism. Attack Israel, and your reward will be Israel will get boycotted. The government of Canada will recognize a Palestinian state. It's upside down.
What would your advice be? What would your recommendation be to folks who are listening to this interview in terms of fighting anti-Semitism, whether Jewish or not Jewish?
I think it's important to focus on the fact that whoever said it, what starts with the Jews never ends with the Jews. This is the tip of the spear is that when manifestations of anti-Semitism rise, it doesn't end there. This is just the beginning, and it's important that our allies do recognize this and are taking a stand. We really have to thank our allies, and particularly friends of ours on the board of TIFF who took a very strong position on this. And absolutely without them, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We might be having a different conversation. But I have to thank those members on the TIFF board, and I think obviously whether it was unanimous or a majority of the board who were instrumental in getting this decision reversed. I also think boycotting TIFF and not participating and resigning is counterproductive, because if we're not there, if we withdraw our support from the arts, it's only going to allow this cancer of anti-Semitism to metastasize and spread. So we should stay engaged. We should hold arts organizations accountable for expressions of anti-Semitism, but we shouldn't walk away. So that's my view on that. So I will see this film and probably a couple of others while TIFF is on in September. But I'm not letting them off the hook. And I think they do need to do some introspection and make sure that this is the last time we'll see this type of anti-Semitic expression.
I just want to conclude our interview by telling our listeners and viewers that when you went up into space in November of 2024, you didn't just go up as Henry Wolfond, a father, a grandfather. You went up as a leader. And in fact, you wore a yellow ribbon on your uniform, which was reflective of the hostages in Gaza. And just want to say to you, Henry, I am so inspired by that. Kol hakavod, as they say in Hebrew, which is well done. And you were very, very vocal about what you saw up there, the whole world without demarcation lines, and then coming back and talking about the importance of world peace. Well done on that, Henry. Well done.
Thank you, Avrum. Yeah, hopefully. Thanks for inviting me on today, and Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, Shabbat Shalom, and I want to thank the entire Jewish community and our friends outside of the Jewish community who really stepped up to make sure that this very bad decision, a very cowardly decision, very anti-Semitic decision, according to many, was changed. Kol hakavod to all of us. Keep doing that. Keep stepping up. Keep fighting for goodness. Keep fighting for good in the world, and for a better place for all of our families to live in, both Jews and non-Jews, because it doesn't stop with the Jews. Until we meet again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Henry Wolfond, and we will see you soon. Sei gesund. Take care.
Thanks.